Okay, you know that feeling. Your to-do list just seems to explode overnight.
Hmm.
Or you're grabbing lunch on the go, trying to cram one more thing in, but still feel, I don't know, like you're missing out on family time. That constant rush.
Yeah, that feeling of being completely overwhelmed,
Yeah,
always playing catch up. It's really common.
it really is. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're getting into today.
We're going deep into Mark Forster's Do It Tomorrow. Well, it's a pretty different take on managing your time, your workload.
Right, a novel approach.
Yeah,
And for you, the learner, someone always looking for knowledge, for ways to be more effective, this could be really interesting.
definitely. It offers a fresh angle, finding that sense of control, without just piling more pressure on.
And Forster, he's not just making the stuff up, is he? He's coached people, run workshops for years.
Exactly. Years of experience. He's refined these ideas based on what works for real people.
And this book, it apparently has some radical new ideas like closed lists, the manana principle.
Yeah, those are central. He builds on his earlier work, but introduces these quite distinctive concepts.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive.
It's really to pull out the key principles from Forster, things that can actually help you feel more in charge, less swamped, and ultimately become, as he says, more creative, ordered, and effective.
Creative, ordered, and effective.
Okay,
Let's start unpacking. He kicks off with this kind of provocative idea about time itself.
he does. He basically says complaining about not having enough time is, well, it's like a fish complaining there's no water.
Huh. Okay, so we're swimming in time.
Sort of. His point is, the problem isn't the amount of time. He asks, if the day suddenly had 48 hours, would we solve everything?
Probably not. We just find more ways to feel behind.
Exactly. So the insight, especially for you, the learner, isn't about finding more hours. It's about how we're managing the hours we've got.
That makes a lot of sense. Better use, not just more time. And to get that, he talks about our brains, right? A simplified model.
Yeah, the rational brain and the reactive brain. Simple model, but useful.
Rational brain. Plans, decisions. Reactive brain.
Immediate stuff. Threats, impulses, comfort zone, fight or flight, but for everyday tasks too.
And the reactive brain? It often wins.
Often, yeah. Think about deciding to, say, learn a new language. Rational brain says, great idea. Reactive brain, when you're tired, says, nah, let's watch TV.
Haven't been there. So just deciding rationally isn't enough. Willpower alone.
It's often not the whole picture. We need structures, things that help the rational brain's plans actually stick.
Structures. Like guardrails for our intentions.
Kind of, yeah. He gives the example of tax returns. Most people don't want to do them. But there are deadlines, systems, consequences. It forces a structure.
Okay, so it's less about brute force willpower, more about smart systems, making it easier to do the rational thing.
Precisely. And this links directly to resistance, procrastination.
Ah, yes, the old enemy.
Forster's take is that resistance happens because the reactive brain sees the task as some kind of threat. Maybe it looks hard, boring, uncomfortable.
So it throws up the defenses, puts it off.
Exactly. Even if rationally you know it's important,
Yeah.
like starting a big research paper.
So how do we get past that? He has this trick, right? Pretending not to do the task. Sounds a bit sneaky.
It does, but it's clever. The idea is you tell yourself something like, okay, I'm not really going to write that report now. I'll just, open the file, or I'll just find those notes.
Lowering the stakes.
Exactly. Opening a file, that's not scary. The reactive brain doesn't see a big threat there, so the resistance drops.
And then once you've started,
Often, you just keep going. That tiny first step breaks the inertia. It's like you sidestep the initial panic.
it's like gently nudging yourself forward instead of trying to shove a boulder.
That's a great way to put it. It's the rational brain being a bit strategic with the reactive brain, not fighting it head on, but working with its tendencies.
Okay. Now, Forster also seems a bit skeptical about traditional time management, like prioritizing purely by importance once you've committed to something.
Yeah, he argues that once you're committed to a project or, say, a learning goal, you kind of have to do all the necessary steps eventually, right?
Can't just do the important bits and skip the rest if it's all needed.
Exactly. And just focusing on importance can give this false sense of control. Might even encourage us to take on too much, thinking we'll just tackle the top priorities.
Which still leaves a mountain of other stuff. So if it's not just about importance, what does he emphasize?
Order, structure. He has this formula. Effectiveness equals creativity times order.
Effectiveness, creativity x order. Interesting.
His point is, you can be incredibly creative, full of ideas, but if you're completely disorganized, nothing actually happens.
Your brilliant ideas just stay ideas.
Right. So focusing on getting more ordered, more systematic, that can massively boost your actual effectiveness.
And maybe even free up creativity, paradoxically. Less mental mess.
That's the suggestion. Less clutter, more space for the creative stuff. And for you, the learner, aiming for efficiency. Order is key.
Okay, order. Which brings us to closed lists versus open lists. This feels like a core mechanic.
It really is. Super important concept for him.
So an open list is what most of us probably use, just adding stuff as it comes up.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Your to-do list, your inbox, new things constantly get added. You try to deal with them as they arrive. It feels reactive.
It's an closed list.
That's different. You gather all the items first, define the batch. Could be emails after vacation, could be tasks for a specific project. You collect them, then you process the batch.
So you're not constantly switching contexts or reacting to new arrivals while working through the list?
Exactly. You create a boundary around the work. He uses the example of dealing with emails after a holiday. You wouldn't just answer them one by one as you open them over days, right? You'd ideally process the whole backlog as a set.
That makes sense. Batching. And he mentions batching similar tasks too, like calls.
Yes, doing all your calls together or all your errands is just more efficient. Less mental gear shifting.
Okay, this leads us nicely into the mañana principle. Doing it tomorrow still sounds like procrastination.
Yet the name is provocative.
Hmm.
But it's not about being lazy. It's about sorting work by real urgency.
Real urgency. Okay, so how does he break that down?
3 categories. Immediate, genuine emergencies, houses on fire type stuff.
Hopefully rare.
Let's hope. Then same day things, where there's a significant downside if you wait till tomorrow. A real tangible negative consequence.
Okay, some things might fit that.
Some, but fewer than we think. And then the third category, tomorrow, which is where he argues most non-urgent work should go.
Most things. Default to tomorrow.
That's the core idea.
Yeah.
He argues we label way too much as immediate or same day
Why is that a problem?
because it fragments our day. We're constantly reacting, putting out small fires, never getting to the focused, important work, like that learning project you want to tackle.
Right. You get pulled away by seemingly urgent emails or requests. He has that character, Joe Slob.
Yeah, Joe Slub treats everything like it's urgent. His day is chaos. The opposite of a focused, ordered approach.
So how do we handle those things that do feel like they need same-day attention without becoming Joe Slob?
His simple trick.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down. Someone asks for something today. Don't just jump. Write it down. That pause.
It gives you a second to think, to assess if it's really same-day urgent.
Exactly. It breaks the reactive cycle, minimizes those random interruptions that kill focus.
Okay, so sorting into tomorrow, same-day, immediate, and writing down same-day requests. This all feeds into the will-do list.
It does. The will-do list is the practical application. It's basically your closed list for today.
And what's on it?
Mostly work identified yesterday that you decided needs doing today. It's structured. He suggests categories like current initiative first, then maybe email, voicemail, paperwork, specific one-off tasks, and your regular daily tasks.
So it's realistic because it's mostly based on yesterday's stuff planned for today. And the current initiative, that's top billing.
Always first. That's non-negotiable in his system.
Tell me more about that. The current initiative. Sounds important for progress.
It is. It's what you do first every day. It's protected time for your most important project, the thing that moves you towards bigger goals. For the learner, this is prime time for focused study, skill building, that kind of thing.
Okay. And how does it work? Just block out time.
3 key rules. 1, do it first, before email, before anything else distracts you.
Rule 2.
Do it every day. Consistency is vital, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes on busy days.
5 minutes.
Really, he insists. The consistency keeps the momentum. It stops the project from fading away. Small steps, done regularly.
Okay, and rule 3.
Keep going until it's finished. And you need a clear definition of finished for that initiative. Don't let it drift.
So first, every day till it's done. What makes a good current initiative?
Things like writing a book proposal, building a website, mastering a specific software module, maybe preparing your tax return early, focused projects with a defined end.
What's not a good fit?
Long-term ongoing habits like learn French or exercise more, those are better suited for scheduling specific times, not the single do-it-first slot. The initiative needs to be something you can genuinely finish.
He tells a story about seeing a dancer, Sylvie Gillum.
Yeah, it's a nice anecdote about finally achieving something he put off for ages by making it a consistent focus, that power of chipping away at it.
Okay, makes sense. Now, what if you're starting this and you already have a massive backlog? piles of old tasks. Feels overwhelming.
Totally. His quick start guide tackles this. The advice is basically gather it all up, all the backlog. Put it somewhere out of sight, folders, boxes.
Put it out of your face.
Reduce the immediate overwhelm, yeah.
Ah.
Then you dedicate time each day, ideally first thing, before even the current initiative when you're starting out, just to chip away at that backlog.
Like paying down debt, that analogy came up.
It's a perfect analogy. Stop the new stuff piling up randomly. Use the do it tomorrow system for that. Manage today's work with the will-do list. And dedicate specific effort to clearing the old stuff. Apply the closed list idea to the backlog itself.
Got it. What about the task diary? Where does that fit?
The task diary. It's simple, really. It's for reminders, things you need to follow up on, maybe tasks you delegated, monitoring projects over time, scheduling things further out than tomorrow.
So future reminders and tracking.
Pretty much. He stresses its simplicity. Complex systems get abandoned. This is just a basic tool to make sure future things don't get lost.
Okay. You mentioned randomness earlier, how it kills productivity. Forster talks about reducing it.
Big time. He calls random factors the real killers. Small interruptions, unplanned calls, checking notifications. They seem minor, but they shatter focus.
Derail the plan. That's where Joe Slob comes in again versus Mick Cool.
Exactly. Joe Slob is pure reaction. Mick Cool, the mechanic in the example, faces random customer arrivals too. But he creates a system, a buffer, his booking process, to impose order.
He controls the response to the randomness, not the randomness itself.
Precisely. He creates structure. And we can do that too. Turn off notifications, schedule email checks, create blocks of focus time, build our own buckers.
Makes sense. And linked to that is the idea of limits, setting boundaries.
Yeah, super important. Setting time limits for tasks, for instance, like saying, I'll work on this for 25 minutes. It increases focus.
It's a Pomodoro technique, kinda.
Similar principle. He even mentions Shakespeare's sonnets, how the strict form, the limitation, arguably fostered creativity.
Interesting. So limits aren't just restrictive, they can actually help.
They can channel energy. And critically, limiting the amount of work you try to force into one day helps avoid that fractured, overwhelmed feeling. It's about realistic boundaries.
Okay, wow, lots to take in there. Let's try and synthesize this for the learner. What are the absolute key takeaways from Do It Tomorrow?
Okay, first big one. Change how you think about time. It's not scarcity, it's about order. Second, harness the power of tiny, consistent steps with that current initiative done first, every day.
Right. Small steps add up.
Third, really embrace do it tomorrow. Be strict about what truly needs doing today. Push most things to tomorrow's list. Fourth, use closed lists. Batch your work emails, tasks, research notes. Finish one batch before starting the next.
Control the flow.
Exactly. And finally, fifth, build structures, set limits. Use the system to help your rational brain win against those reactive impulses that pull you off course.
Great summary, really practical stuff. So for you listening, maybe think about this. What goal or project could become your current initiative starting tomorrow, even just for 5 minutes?
Yeah, and what are those random things that keep pulling you away from focused work or study? How could you build a buffer, like Mick Cool, to protect your time a bit more?
Mark Forster's book obviously goes into way more detail, lots more strategies. If this resonates, Do It Tomorrow is definitely worth exploring further.
Absolutely. Loads more depth in there.
But the core message seems clear. Effectiveness isn't just about doing more. It's about doing the right things in an ordered way. Thanks for diving deep into this with us.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating approach.